She Said is directed by Maria Schrader and stars Carey Mulligan and Zoe Kazan, and is the story of two New York Times reporters, Jodi Kantor and Megan Twohey, who helped break the story involving Harvey Weinstein's disgusting rampage through Hollywood. I've always been a fan of movies that are about journalists or reporters or writers or anybody that's really trying to get to the bottom of a story. I love Zodiac, All the President's Men, Spotlight. These are great movies that feature great real-life journalists that made a real difference in the world. And She Said is no different. In fact, I would compare it favorably to a movie like All the President's Men, which very well could have been a comp while they were writing the script, because it's two journalists who are both trying very hard to get very nervous people to discuss something that's extremely important, but every single one of them is fearing repercussions. They could end up in jail. They could be blacklisted in Hollywood, not work again. We know today that this man has not only been convicted of his crimes, but is currently facing a trial for even more of them. This film details a time period in Hollywood we're talking about, a word I can't say because YouTube hates it and will definitely demonetize this video. That was a no-no. Nobody talked about it and everyone stayed away from it, even when everyone knew it was going on. And we live in a different world now, a world where Harvey Weinstein and people like him can be held accountable for their criminal actions that have ruined lives. And so obviously there's a lot of drama here, but the movie takes a wise step in that it doesn't present it with a lot of drama. Maria Schrader is very confident to simply sit back and allow her actors to perform on screen. She's almost invisible as a filmmaker. Now, some critics might jump on that as some sort of inadequacy on her part. I think it's the only choice. I think that when you have a story that's this important and you have actors as good as the ones she has, this isn't a movie for the director to sort of like make their mark. This is a movie about making sure the people who were victimized by that man have their stories heard, and you understand the brave people behind the scenes who made these stories known to the public. For her to sit back and rely on what some people might refer to as basic coverage for the majority of this movie might at first glance seem like a deficiency on her part, and I strongly disagree. I think it's the best choice. It allows these actors to truly have a showcase. It allows us to focus entirely on the material and not the camera work or some amazing move that she pulled off. I think she did a fantastic job directing this movie, and what a lot of people miss when they watch movies and they hear the word director, they think the person who chose the shots, and what do the shots look like, and how did they edit it all together, and that's just not accurate. Of course, the director and the DP sit down and they make these plans, but at the end of the day, directing is so much more than that. You're talking with the actors about every goddamn thing that they're going to do, and you're making choices constantly every single day with every member of the department about exactly what you want it to look like. And the fact that this film sits back and really lets its story take center stage is by no means because the director didn't know what she was doing. What's also important about the film, and that I think could potentially be a criticism thrown at it, is that a lot of us now kind of know what's going to happen, and we're just sort of waiting for the inevitable. And so there's not a lot of mystery or suspense or tension. You don't really wonder like, boy, I wonder what's going to happen with this story, because we all kind of know that. But there's something that I think people forget. It's so easy to live in the now and think, this movie was made for me today as I sit here watching it. And while that might be true, this movie has to survive. It has to be viewable and understandable in 30 or 40 or 50 years. When my kids, who are now only 16 months, are whatever, 13, 14 years old, and I show them this movie, it has to make sense to them. They're not going to know this story necessarily. They might not have heard about how it all came to be. And so these scenes are going to mean something to them that perhaps they don't to a modern day viewer who knows what's going to happen. My best example is that when I was like 12 years old and I saw All the President's Men for the first time, I didn't know anything about Watergate or Nixon or that whole story. And every single scene I was like, did this really happen? This is crazy. How did I never know about this? And then I was researching and I was like, wow, this really did happen. How did that kind of corruption, come to be? And of course, if you had watched All the President's Men when it was first released, I imagine a lot of critics probably thought, I kind of know what's going to happen. So movies like this and say Spotlight that are telling a fairly recent event in journalism or in politics or something, and we understand the consequences of that event, they have to do it that way. Because not only does it have to be factual, it has to work for people who've never heard of this story before for multiple decades to come. And I think we can sometimes get so wrapped up in movies being timely or important for the now and all for us and our time, but that's because we live in this 24-hour news cycle when we forget that things are actually supposed to be archived and exist for many, many decades into the future. And for those people, it's going to be a very different experience watching this movie. 20, 30, 40 years from now even, there's going to be people who are like, holy shit, did this really happen? Eventually people will forget about him, and it's really good that this movie exists with the detail that it has. Across the board, the performances are wonderful. Everyone's really good in the film. The writing is very strong. I thought this was a very good movie, and if you're the type of person that likes movies about reporters or journalism breaking some very important story, check it out. I think it's worth your time. Thank you guys so much, as always, for watching. Look forward to more videos very soon, and if you like this, you can click right here and get Stuckmanized.